So the propane buses have a lot less maintenance than our friends with the diesel buses. So the propane buses only have 8 quarts of oil compared to 24. 1 oil filter instead of 2. The mileage is substantially better.
Well, going from primarily the diesel powered, where you're dealing with the oil and the soot, they're much cleaner, and the mechanics appreciate that. It's a lot easier for them to inspect the engine or the components, and then you don't have the exhaust fumes. Normally these garages would be full of black sooty smoke, and now we don't see hardly any of that.
Propane makes our job easier in the garage with our maintenance as far as the emissions go, our DPFs and our DOC, the filtration system for the exhaust. That's non-existent on these buses compared to the diesels.
Doesn't take quite as long to service them, and just ease of maintenance. We got 17 routes. They run twice a day, probably about 250 miles a day that they're running. I mean, they hold up well, especially for the roads we're running, because I'd say we run half to 3/4 gravel roads, and they're rough. We're out in the boondocks, so.
We use less than half of what the diesels do as far as the engine oil goes. The engine oil changes are a lot faster that way, and the filters are a whole lot cheaper.
It will cost the EMS less money to operate these vehicles, which will let us put more drivers on the road to actually get people to and from their appointments. And what they really like is they recognize that diesel fuel is actually a carcinogen, and so having to breathe it every day, even at our brand new facility, is not good for their health.
I by far see more diesel buses in our garage than I do with the propanes. In the past 2 years that we've been running them, the diesel buses have been in the garage a lot more than what our propane buses have.